Hello everyone, and welcome to my short guide, I can call it. This short video series, so to speak, is going to show you how to create a V8 engine in Inventor Professional. So before we get started, I'm just going to point out that this is a beginner's course, and such it won't contain many of the advanced operations you might need necessary for more advanced work, but you should be able to understand this even if you have never used the program before. Now, the first thing we're going to do is select to create a new model. You do that up here. You will see that this field will open a small menu. In this, you choose standard millimeter.ipt. This is the format we will usually be working with. After that, you simply click that and choose Create. What this will do is create a new model. We'll just have to wait for it to load. This is the main view of the model. Since we don't have a model yet, we don't see much here. But once we have created the model, it will be shown here. And this is where we will be editing it. This is the top view where we choose all the tools we use for editing our model. And the bar above that is where we select the different categories for editing the model. We're mainly going to be sticking with the first category, 3D modeling, so choose that one now. Now, to start a new 3D model, we will have to choose Start 2D Sketch. And once you click that, you will see a number of planes popping up in your model. These are the different directions of your model. These are the XY plane, the XZ plane, and the YZ plane. You don't have to care much about these right now, but just click any one of them. What you will notice is that the top bar has changed into the sketch mode. This indicates that we've done this correctly. Now, there are a lot of different tools to be used in sketch mode. The most important one is probably the line tool, which helps you draw straight lines. But under each of these tools, there is a small menu where you can select different types of tools in the same category. We usually don't have to worry about this too much, but you should know that it's there. Otherwise, there's a circle tool, which draws circles, and the arc tool, which draws arcs, both pretty self-explanatory on their own. We're going to be using the circle tool for now, so click that. Once you've selected the circle tool, you'll notice that your cursor has changed. This is to indicate that you have a tool selected. This will also be where you start your drawing with the tool. This snaps onto different points, such as the center of the model, and turns green when it does so. So snap to the middle of the model right now, and click left click. You can now choose how big you want the circle to be. We have a specific size in mind, so we just type in 40 millimeters in the box. And there you go. We now have a 40 millimeter circle. Once you see this, right click and press OK to deselect the current tool. After that, choose Finish Sketch up in the top menu. You'll see that you're now back in the 3D view. However, you now have a circle drawn. It is also shown in the sidebar. Now, a circle in itself isn't really a 3D model. We're going to have to extrude it for that. We do this by choosing the Extrude tool. Now, what this does is it takes a 2D sketch and makes it into a 3D model. You will see that it has already selected the sketch you drew earlier. Now, it has a lot of functions that we don't need to go through right now, but the most important is this arrow. By dragging this arrow, you can select how far the extrusion will go, meaning how thick the model will be. We have a specific size in mind, so we'll just type in 70 millimeters and press Enter. Now, this gives us a nice 3D cylinder to work with. But this is of course not all we're going to do making with the cylinder. However, having a cylinder is a very good start. What we're going to do before making any other adjustments to the model itself is change the color of the model. We're going to do this specifically to try and keep track of different moving parts in our final product. So to do this, we select the small color changer menu. You will see that it has default, as one would expect. Now, I kind of want a red for this. Dark red wasn't any good. Maybe another red. Yeah, we'll see about that. Let's see. Yeah, light red. Much better. So I'll be using that. However, you can use any color you want. Just try to differentiate the different parts using different colors. Unless you're making the final version of the part, at which point you could make them sort of realistic colors in order for them to look better. One thing to notice when working this way with colors is that it recolors the entirety of the model instead of just a small part of it. This is important to note, as we can recolor small parts of a model later on, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to keep it a uniform color. Now, we're going to make some improvements to this, so choose 2D Sketch again, and click the backside. Oh, by the way, for rotating the part, you hold the middle mouse button and the Alt button, or just the middle mouse button to pan it. Now, rotate it around and click on the backside of it. Now, you'll notice that before, we had to click on a specific plane. These planes were invisible right now. That's normal. But once you've created a part, or at least a starting piece of your part, all the 2D sketches you make will usually originate from different planes on the part, such as flat surfaces. In this case, we use the backside of our cylinder. Now, we're going to choose a small tool called Project Geometry now. Now, what this tool does is it allows us to make a replica of another existing piece of the part. So, just take it over the edge here and left click. And you'll now see that we have a yellow line going around in the cylinder that we already have. Now, this is only for our guidance, so we're going to be using Sketch and Circle tool once more, and click the yellow dot in the middle, so that it snaps. Now, drag it out, and this time we're not going to go 40 millimeters, we're instead going to go 50 millimeters. So type that in, press enter, right click, press OK, and then finish sketch, just like we did before. Then use extrude, and click. Now you notice that since we don't actually just have one piece of our sketch that we can extrude, but multiple, you'll have to select which part you want to extrude. In this case, we want to extrude both of them, so just click on both of them. Click the outer one, and then the center one. Now, we don't want this 70 millimeter long, we want this 10 millimeter long. So press enter for there. And now we're going to make some more additions to the model. So first, we choose Start 2D Sketch again. And we click the backside of where we just worked. And we choose Project Geometry like we did before. Click the outer circle. Choose the Circle tool. And then we click the middle. Extend it. Type it in 40 millimeters. And right click, OK, and finish sketch. Extrude. And now, this time, we don't actually want the outer ring, just the inner one. So just click that one. And type in 50 millimeters. Now our part is starting to look like something. However, we now have a large portion of the part remaining, and I'm going to teach you a small tool that will be extremely helpful in the future. In the top bar, choose Manage, and then Parameters. Now, this gives you a small window where you will be able to edit several values. You will see a couple of values already existing, named D1, D0, D7, and you name it. Now, these are automatically generated from our previous sketches and extrusions, so you don't really have to care about these. But what you do have to care about is the fact that they all have a name, a unit, and a value. Now, if you've ever worked in math or with variables earlier, like in programming, you will understand what these are for. These are essentially just variables with different names and different values on them. These are very helpful if you want to create repetitive patterns, so to speak, with similar lengths all over the place. What we're gonna do is we're gonna select Add Numeric at the bottom view. Now, what this does is it gives us a new parameter under User Parameters, which is completely blank at the moment. And we're gonna change that. So first, we type in the name, we type du to indicate that it is actually a part we have made, a parameter we've made. You don't have to do this, but I usually do it. And then we're gonna give it a name. And in this case, I'm gonna call it disk thickness. Because it's gonna be the thickness of our disks, which you will see what we're talking about here. Now, the unit should be millimeters, and the distance, or value, should be 10 millimeters. So that's the first one we need. We need two more though, so click Add Numeric again, du, and this one is going to be called shaft, or, shaft length. And we give this new parameter the value of 40 millimeters. And then we just ensure that unit is set to millimeter, which it is. Then we only have one parameter left to make. So click Add Numeric once more. And call this one du gap length. Because it's going to give you the gap's length in the model. You'll understand once we start actually making these gaps. And give it the value of 80 millimeters and unit millimeter. That means we're actually done with this menu. So, you can just click Done. Now, go back to the 3D Model tab and press Start 2D Sketch again. And this time, choose the backend that we created with a new part. Or, well, new cylinder, so to speak. Make sure that you select the piece of the cylinder that is shorter when you're doing this. Press left click. Now, do like we did previously. Project geometry, press OK. But now we're going to be making a bit of a more complicated shape. So it's gonna have to be using several lines and circles. Now the first thing we're gonna do is make a circle in the middle. Just extend it 50 millimeters like you always did. However, now we're going to be working with the line tool. So choose Line up in the top menu and left click on it. Now this will snap to different points. So snap it to the center, and you will see that when you pull this around, it will actually show a different number of lengths and angles. These are important. Now, for the length, we're gonna type in 39.75 millimeters. And then you press Tab, and what this does is that you've now locked the length of the line, and is only able to adjust the angle. Now, adjust the angle to 90 degrees, and just press left click. You'll now see that we've drawn a line from the center of our previous circle out into the open. We're now going to create another circle from the edge of this new line. So snap it to the edge of this line and draw it out and type in 50 millimeters, just like we did with the previous circle. Right click and press OK. Now you will see that there are a number of values which indicate how far or long several lines are. You can drag these around as you want, or you can select them and press delete. We're gonna be doing that now because they can be in the way of what we're going to do next. Now, this time we will choose a tool we haven't worked with before, called the Trim tool. Now, this tool allows us to remove parts of our model that we don't want, or rather parts of our sketch that we don't want. So use this and left click on the lines that I'm indicating that you should click on. An important notice here is that you cannot click on yellow lines, so be careful with that. And then right click and press OK. Now, you choose the line tool again, and this time you take it from the edge of the first circle. Now, it should snap, but if it doesn't, which you can see because it never turns green, you will have to type in the values manually. In this case, you will type in 25 millimeters and 0 millimeters, which gives us exactly on the edge. Press left click and drag this down to the lower one, and you'll see that it actually snaps the lower one. Now this is a bit weird, it doesn't always snap like this, but in the other case you could work out where the next one's edge is from simple trigonometry. Now you'll see this one snapped to the edge better than the other one did, but you'll have to, if it doesn't, you'll have to type in that one's values as well. So just left click and pull it up to the first one, and now you'll see that it doesn't snap here either. So you'll have to type in the length of the line and the angle of the line, just like we did with the previous one. So type in 39.75, tab, and choose 90 degrees. Now this gives us the circle we need, the form or shape we need. Choose trim again, and trim away the last green lines that I'm indicating. Right click and press OK. Now, this means that we're actually finished with the sketch, so press Finish Sketch. And once you've done this, choose Extrude again. However, this time we're going to choose the entirety of these 3 pieces that we managed to do. And this time we're going to be using what we typed in earlier in the Manage field. So, this time we're going to type in du disk length. And you'll see that it adapts to the size, or well, of course it won't, because I typed the wrong thing. But since now I typed disk thickness, which is what it was actually called, you'll see that it takes the length that we typed in earlier. Or well, if you have a good eyesight, you might notice that it's the correct length. But it takes a length, either way. Because this is how you use those variables you used earlier. So just click OK on that extrusion. Now, we're going to be using this one quite a lot. So try to bear with me here. I'm gonna go through this a bit quicker than usual, since we already have worked on it. But here you see, 10 millimeters disk thickness was what we had before, and we will now notice that this part is 10 millimeters. Now, choose 2D sketch again, project geometry, and project the entire thing, and you'll see that we have it projected. Now, choose circle, click the lower of the 2 points, and type in 40 millimeters. Press OK, finish sketch, and then extrude it like we did normally. This one is going to be called du shaft length, because this is the shaft length we're working with. And then press OK. And then choose sketch again, choose project geometry, and project the rear one, so that we have a replica of that. Now, we don't actually need to do any more sketching here, because we already have completed the sketch. So, press Finish Sketch once you see that it has worked. And then choose Extrude, and extrude the entirety of it to du disk thickness, just like we did previously. Now, you'll see that our part is starting to shape up a bit. It's starting to take the shape we want from a crankshaft. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to choose Start 2D Sketch once more to make the last part of this model we need before we can start to actually blaze through it, since we've actually made all the parts we need by then. So choose Start 2D Sketch again, and click on the new disk we made, and choose Circle, or rather Project Geometry, and click on the entire there, Circle, set 1, and then 40 millimeters. Press OK, and finish sketch, just like we've done previously. And then choose extrude. And this one is the one that is called du gap length. This is going to be a sort of gap between our different parts. So that's that. Now, the last ones here I'm gonna blaze through a bit fast. So you choose start 2D sketch like we did previously. Choose project geometry, project the center. Draw a line like you did previously. So choose line, snap it to the center. Type in 39.75 millimeters. Press tab. And put this at 0 degrees instead of 90. Now, make another circle. Type in 50 millimeters. Press OK. Then choose line. Snap it to the circle. And draw the line just like we did previously. And if it doesn't snap, you'll have to type in the values manually, just like we did previously. And then draw another line from the other part of the circle. Press left click. OK. Then choose all of the different dimensions. Choose trim. Trim away the parts I'm indicating. Right click. And press OK. Then choose circle again and draw out a 50mm circle there so that we have that. And then choose finish sketch. Then we extrude the entirety of that disk to disk thickness. du disk thickness. Or, well, yeah, disk thickness. We then choose Start 2D Sketch again, click the new one, choose Create Geometry, draws another circle at the edge, 40mm, right click, OK, Finish Sketch. Extrude it to du shaft length. And press OK, or Enter. Start another sketch on the new one. And project the old one. Extrude this one in its entirety to du disk thickness. And press Enter. Then we just repeat the process really. Start a new sketch, project geometry, circle, 40mm, left click, press OK, and finish sketch. And then we extrude that one to du gap length, just like we did previously. And then we use sketch again, project geometry, line 39.75. This one is at 180 degrees instead. And then we draw the lines, or rather the circles, like we did previously. So, circle from the edge, 50mm. Circle from the center, 50mm. Press OK. Choose the line tool. Try snap it. Draw it between the two edges. And then you choose the trim tool again and try and trim away all the surfaces. Now, this, you see, this is what happens when we haven't removed our dimensions previously. Because the trim tool has some limitations, namely that it cannot trim things that has dimensions attached to it. So we will have to make sure that we have selected these dimensions, or sizes, so to speak, the white dotted lines with numbers on them that we deleted previously. We have to delete those before using the trim tool. So now we're gonna go and do just that. So right click, press OK, just drag over all of them and press delete. One by one if you have to. And then we choose the trim tool again and remove the lines as we did previously. And you'll see that this time it works perfectly. There we go. Now, right click, OK, and then finish sketch. Then extrude, like we did previously, and set it to DU disk thickness. And press OK. Now, we start a new sketch, and put it there. Create geometry, finish sketch, extrude. Now, wait, that wasn't what I intended to do. That didn't go as planned. Now, I'll press cancel, and then I'll do so that I don't want to make a new sketch. That would be kind of unnecessary. So instead, I'm going to go into the sidebar here to edit the previous sketch. You do this by simply double-clicking the old sketch. So do that, and you'll see that we're now back in the edit menu. So then we can draw the lines we want. Or, well, you can also use finish sketch like you would normally. So, double-click on the sketch, and you'll back in the sketch. Choose the circle tool. Draw the correct circle that we forgot to add before. Type in 40mm. OK, and finish sketch. Then we can extrude it like we wanted to. So extrude it to DU shaft length. And now we're almost done. Now, just start another sketch. Project the rear one. Finish sketch. Extrude the entirety to DU disk thickness. And we press OK. And then we make the last part of the crankshaft. So, project geometry. Circle, like we've done numerous times now. 40mm. Press OK. Finish sketch. Extrude it to DU gap length. Start a new 2D sketch. Project geometry. Draw a circle. 50mm. Draw another line at 39.75mm and 90 degrees. And then we just draw the circle from that line like we've done 4 times already. 50mm. And link them together with lines. Now you'll see I have a problem with snapping again, so I just type in the values manually this time. 39.75 and 90. Then we remove all the dimensions. And use the trim tool like we've done previously. And press OK. We finish the sketch. And we extrude that to DU disk thickness. And we start another sketch. Project. Draw a circle at the edge, 40mm. Finish the sketch. Extrude that one, the DU shaft length. And another sketch. And we project that and extrude it to DU disk thickness. Now, we're almost done with the entirety of the part. So, we're just gonna add the finishing touches to it now. First of all, we're gonna make another 2D sketch at the end of the crankshaft, just like we've done previously. But this time, we're gonna use some other measurements, so make sure you pay attention. So, we make a 2D sketch. We project the geometry, like we've done previously, and we draw a circle. And it's gonna be 40mm, just like usual. And press OK and finish sketch. But then we're going to extrude this, and we're not going to extrude it to gap length. Instead, we're going to extrude this to 50 millimeters. And press OK. And then we're going to make another sketch at the end of that. Project the geometry. And draw a circle that's 50 millimeters in size. And then we're just going to leave it at that. We're not going to make any other adjustments to it. And we select Finish Sketch. And we extrude this to 10 millimeters. And now we're actually done with the entire part. Now, there is something more I want to show you before we quit the video. Because while we're done with the part now, I'm going to show you why we used that weird manage and variable system earlier, other than just to repeat make the process faster. So if you go into manage in the top bar, just like we did when we first edited this, I'm going to show you that we can actually edit some of the measurements afterward. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll find our DU shaft lengths and disc lengths. And if you change any of these values, you'll notice that the part updates to accommodate that change. Meaning that we can actually make adjustments to these after we've actually finished the main form of the sketch. We're not going to do that right now, though. We use the correct measurements from the beginning. But this is useful if something goes wrong or you notice that you might need more of any of these measurements. So now we're just going to save the model. And then we'll be all set. So, choose Save As. And then I recommend you find somewhere when you want to save it. I'm just going to save it on my USB drive rather. And you make a folder named My V8, just so you can keep track of it. You can, of course, name it something else, but I'll call it My V8. Open that folder, and then we create a folder inside that folder named Crankshaft, so that we can differentiate between the different parts we're going to assemble later on. And you open that, and you name the part Crankshaft, and you make sure it's set to .ipt as saving formatting. We just call it Crankshaft. And press save. Now, congratulations! You have successfully gone through the first tutorial video of this series, and should have some understanding of how the Inventor professional system works when trying to edit simple solid objects. In the next episode, we're gonna go through some more basic solid objects, but these ones are later gonna be assembled into a single moving piece. So try to make sure that you watch that too. Well, I guess goodbye.